more at the pump now, especially after that explosion at Exxon Mobil.
An explosion at the Exxon Mobil refinery in Torrance ignited a fire today and sent ash raining down on nearby neighborhoods. The plant is on 190th Street and Crenshaw Boulevard, close to the 405 freeway. Residents in the area were told to shelter in place for a time until the all clear was given. The company says 4 workers suffered minor injuries. The explosion happened in a recently installed processing facility. We have live team coverage. Amy Johnson will show us how schools and residents responded to the explosion. But first, Dave Lopez is live with the latest on this investigation. Dave?
Well, Pat, we're standing on the center divide of the Meridian here on Crenshaw. Cars whizzing by us in both directions. But over my shoulder, this is the best view we can give you. This is the unit that exploded. You can see the gaping hole there. You can still see the white smoke still pouring out. We are told that the fire is out. Now they're just trying to figure out what happened. We can tell you this. There was a grassroots organization that published a report earlier this week that there was maintenance done at this facility and it shut down a number of units. In fact, it may have shut down the entire plant. We do not know if any of that maintenance work included this unit behind me. Exxon is not commenting on anything like that, only that there was, quote, an incident today. The damage to the rest of this unit is extensive, and the only thing that ExxonMobil will confirm is that the company was making gasoline when the explosion occurred.
When I saw the smoke coming toward me, it probably was within another 50 feet that the smoke was coming where you couldn't see anything.
Rodney Payne, an electrician for Exxon, was in the next unit over when he heard the explosion.
I got my guys out, and we went out the other door, and we just took off, left everything behind, tools and everything.
The Torrance Fire Department confirmed 4 injuries. They did not transport anybody to the hospital, but the company did later in the morning for precautionary reasons. Injuries are described to be as minor. But what caused this explosion?
Not sure what caused it. That will all be investigated and determined at a later date.
The captain did say it could have been a leaky valve or a pipe malfunction. All of that will be looked at. Flames could be seen for miles, shooting out of one of the stacks from another unit. The captain explained that was a safety system that was in place called the flare system.
You can't just shut it off because there's a lot of things, chemicals and temperatures that are involved.
So they reroute the gasoline and burn it.
It's the lesser of a lot of evils rather than have a product on the ground.
There was a gas fire on the floor of this unit, but firefighters quickly put it out. The only comment from Exxon, in part, quote, "Our focus now is on addressing the incident. We will conduct a thorough investigation of the cause of this event. We apologize for any inconvenience that this incident may have caused nearby residents." And for Rodney Payne, who says he feels fortunate that no one was seriously hurt, his first thoughts were earthquake.
But you can see the whole electric room vibrating, shaking, but I remember reading this out of the electric room good. I go out one door to look to make sure that everybody was all right, or that the building was clearing. Find out that there was evacuation.
The explosion was so powerful that it registered on the Caltech meter of 1.7 earthquake, although it was not an earthquake. As for the injuries, we can tell you that 3 of the 4 taken to the hospital have been released. 1 remains hospitalized, still no details given. The plant, both by Torrance Fire Department and the facility here, confirmed the plant is still operating. Just, of course, that facility behind me is shut down. And what does this plant produce? Only 2 billion gallons of gasoline every year. Reporting live from Torrance, Dave Lopez, CBS News.
Well, the explosion caught the community around the refinery off guard, like that Exxon one. There are a lot of people thought it was an earthquake. There are several schools in the area, and at first students were told to stay inside. CBS News' Amy Johnson is live with details on how residents and campuses were affected. Amy.
Well, Paul, we are at the Honda dealership on Hawthorne Boulevard, and take a look at all of the cars. They are covered in the ash that came from the refinery. And just to give you an idea how far this ash traveled, take a look at those flames over my shoulder there. That is burning on top of the refinery, and that is about 2.5 miles away from here. And this ash sent plenty of folks seeking shelter indoors.
I heard a big jolt and I felt like the house was shaking. Like
Torrance resident Moshway Halal lives just 2 blocks from the Exxon Mobil refinery. She heard and felt the explosion before she actually knew what happened.
Everybody was on the street, and then you saw like a black smoke coming out. We knew it's in the refinery.
1 block away, this man found damage on his property.
And one is here.
3 cracks in the cinder block wall around his home, and he says his mother fell down when she felt the blast.
She was taking a breakfast. That time when she heard a huge sound and she fall down and she was very afraid.
The explosion and fire at the refinery sent ash miles away. Taking no chances, area schools have their students shelter in place. Students stayed inside their classrooms to avoid exposure to potentially unhealthy air.
If she inhaled the ashes and the air quality was worse, she'd have a bad asthma attack.
Like this mom at Magruder Middle School, dozens of parents pulled their children from North High.
I was concerned for their safety. My daughter texted me from the classroom and said that she had been in there for a while.
Her daughter Lori was happy to go home.
I didn't feel safe. The air was, they said there's nothing wrong with the air, that's why they kept everybody locked up, so I didn't want to inhale anything bad for me and be sick or something.
And giving you a closer look at this ash. Now the LA County Fire and AQMD say they aren't sure what this ash is. They say it's possibly debris from insulation. However, a leader with the Steelworkers Union says they believe the ash may be catalyst dust from the unit that exploded, and it could contain heavy metals, which could be toxic. Now, it's important to mention, however, the union is striking against several refineries, but not the one where today's incident happened. So again, a lot of information still needed in what this ash actually is, and of course, folks probably shouldn't be touching it and be very careful when it comes time to cleaning it up. Putting live in Torrance, Amy Johnson, CBS 2 News.
Thank you, Amy. And ExxonMobil has set up a community hotline for people who live in the area. If you have any questions, call 844-631-2539. That's 844-631-2539. Now, gas prices in Southern California were already on the rise, up 35 cents in 1 month because of a strike at the Soar Refinery in Carson. Coming up at 5:30, find out if today's refinery explosion will make them go even higher.
Then ahead at 6, residents near the refinery received no alert and no reverse 911 call after the explosion. Now, those that heard it or felt it were told it was only a drill. We'll find out why there was so much misinformation on CBS 2 News at 6.
I'm looking at the Aqua Refinery and Texaco. Under this subcontract company called Brennerson Constructors. I remember being a youngster, 21, 22, out there working in the refineries. We had the orange Nomax out there like little bitches, while the big dogs, they had the blue Aqua Refinery Nomax on with the red helmets. And we always wanted to try to get in, with Arco, because that's when you'll be making that buku cash. It's like you gotta have a family member that's over there working, or you gotta pass a test. So only it's politics. It's hard to get in with Arco. I remember them days. I started off as a fire watcher. Then I worked my way up to a pipe fitter helper. That cheese right there was like nice. But when we would have shutdown, we'd be working like 12 hours in the rain and shit. And then if the rain is too crazy, then we'll close everything out and everybody will go home. Man, those were the days. I would say as a youngster coming up, that was one of them jobs that I had that, even though it wasn't consistent, but when you worked, you made money, decent money. But gas was already going up way before that explosion.